Hello, and welcome back. Today I decided to do a build, and I'm just kind of fast forwarding through it so that you don't get too awful bored, and hopefully I can keep your attention. But anyway, I didn't know what I was doing. I was just trying to do something different. I wanted to build something, so I just started building walls, and I was trying to kind of keep in mind how I wanted to roof while I was building the walls. Um, and of course, sometimes that can be a little difficult because I'm not the best roofer in the world, but yeah. Anywho, so yeah, here I am. I kind of like the floor plan upstairs. I thought that was kind of a little different, a little unique. But placing the stairs was definitely something I couldn't figure out. It took me a minute. I tried different things, different locations, but I think I ended up being in that corner there. I just kind of felt like it was more out of the way and it was a good place to have it. And I kind of already had an idea of how I wanted to lay out the floor plan upstairs with, a bedroom, two bedrooms and a bathroom. And I think later I kind of end up giving them en suites, but in any case, yeah, I of course always have to put in the lights because I can't see without lights. And then of course they disappear on you, so you got to place them back again. It's a good thing that you can build without a budget because if I had a budget on any of my builds, I'd be broke. So yeah, initially this was going to be like a teens room and a toddler room and then the main bedroom. I figured I had enough space that I could add a bathroom to the teen room and the master bedroom, or I'm sorry, not master, the main bedroom. And so, that's kind of what I was working towards, trying to see if I could get that done. And yeah, it sometimes takes a minute, and sometimes you have to revamp your whole thought process and start over. Luckily, I didn't have to completely start over. I just kind of went with it and changed little bits here and there as I went. But, is what it is. It happens. Sometimes you just don't know what's going to fit until you actually start placing things down. And, that's kind of why I do my builds the way that I do it here, where I just kind of add the furniture where I'm thinking I'm possibly going to put it or where I would like to put it, and then kind of make the house bigger or smaller or what have you, change the roof lines and all of that. Because as you can see there, I decided, no, I'm going to have to move the table and the bar because it's not going to work because the bar stools are in the way. And there was a lot going on in my head. And I really wanted to use this arch walking into the living room, but there was just no way to make it work. And making it smaller wasn't going to happen. So I thought maybe a double door, and then I was like, no, I don't like the double door. Ooh, but I could do a double door in the office, which is what the other room is. And then I decided, you know what? An arch would probably work just fine. So I did an arch through the entryway into the living area. But yeah, because the bar was going to be on that wall, I couldn't necessarily have the double doors behind the bar. I thought that would kind of looking weird. And I wanted to use the two piece, or the two square and one square, or tile, I guess, bar. But I think later on I found out that wasn't going to be a possibility. But figuring out this living room layout was a little difficult because when I do my builds, I like to have an actual wall of some kind for the TV. So that was kind of becoming an issue. And I could not figure out how to make it work because I was like, oh, I'll just put an arch. And then I was like, well, shoot, now I don't have anywhere to put the TV. So I moved things around a little bit, and I think I ended up doing a wall here. And I believe I put in a fireplace with the TV above it. And I think that layout looked kind of nice. And then where that little room is in the back behind the wall, that's actually a restroom, a half bath. So it kind of gave the bathroom a little bit of privacy. It kind of gives the living area a little bit of privacy, kind of cordons it off, you know what I mean? And it just, I wanted it to be functional. I wanted it to be quote unquote feng shui, but I also wanted it to be a little different, a little unique. And I think I managed unique, in my opinion anyway. I'm sure there's others out there that are like, nah, I've seen that done a million times. But for me, I try to come up with something just a little bit different if I can. And as you can see, I was pushing the shower into the wall because if I did tile, I wanted the tile to be in the shower, because that's how my shower is. That's how every shower I've ever had is. So I wanted to make sure that that was a possibility. And of course I needed to have a tub in the main restroom upstairs, because if we were going to house a toddler, the toddler needs to have baths. So that's why I did that. And then the teen and the adult, I'm like, they can use a shower, what have you. So now I've kind of figured out the layout roughly. But then I realized that I guess the roof part outside of this bedroom here is actually going to be a balcony, and I didn't want the teen to have the balcony. I wanted the parents to have the balcony, so I had to move that around a little bit, but then the bedroom became too small. But I had the idea, so I decided, you know what, let's put that on the back burner for a second, and let me look at the roof line, let me see what I can do. And that's when I started to change kind of the layout of the rooms for the teen and the toddler. But I still needed to make the master a little bit bigger, so I did. And I think it worked out. But I did change this teen's bathroom a couple of times because I couldn't figure out what to do to make it work right. And I did like this layout a lot, actually. But the issue that I was coming across was after I put the roof up, I couldn't make it work properly. So I made a few changes, but roofing around corners like this is usually a little bit difficult for me sometimes. Sometimes it's not. It all just kind of depends, but I think I did the roof a few times. And I obviously didn't like how high up it was. It just, because then there wasn't going to be any room for a window up there, and I wanted windows in those rooms to bring in some natural light. But there I added a foundation so that I could get a rooftop on it. And I kind of like how I did the roofs with the triple, whatever. I forgot what those roofs are called now, but I kind of like how I did the roofs like that. But I didn't like that one hanging over the way it was. So I tried a couple different ones, and I think I ended up with this one. And I think I just left it flat. Yeah, I left it flat and then brought in the edges because it just wasn't working properly for what I was after. So again, I'm messing with the bathroom because I just fixed it and now I'm changing it again. Because it happens, you know. So I was like, it's a teen. They don't need to have a full bathtub. And I don't know why I didn't keep the because I was making the bathroom smaller. That's why. But I still could have had a tub in there. It wouldn't have been a big issue. But, and I don't remember if I kept the tub or not. No, I don't think I did. And that's right. I changed the toddler room and the teen room. And to access that bathroom from the teen's room, I needed to put a door on that wall, which kind of, yeah, you get the point. I had to reconfigure the bathroom again, which is what it is. So, yeah, I just kind of kept playing around a little bit here and there. And it's just how things go. And then as I'm doing this, I realized, that's clipping into the balcony upstairs. I was like, that's not going to work. So I changed it around a little bit and made it work. I think I like it better this way, actually. So I'm kind of glad that I had that little bit of a oopsie moment because it worked out. And then, of course, I realized I needed to have some kind of foundation kind of lifted up just a little bit. I just didn't like it being on the floor. But I did want to have the chimney because I had the fireplace. So I was kind of playing around with that, trying to figure out what would look best. And I think that's what I ended up with. I kind of like how the chimney looks. I think it looks fine. And then, of course, the windows, you know, picking out a window is sometimes very difficult for me, but I really like these windows. I just wish so much that they had a few different swatches of the paneling on that big window because it's really, really cool, but the white is just so white. In the end, I think it all worked out. I feel like it looks good, but you know, it is what it is. You work with what you got. I don't have a ton of packs just yet, so I'm just working with what I got. But yeah, here, so I'm just laying out some windows, and, you know, then of course I go inside to kind of make sure that they're lined up right. And I think I moved them a couple more times. I realized I had them too high or too low or whatever, so I had to fix them up just a little bit. But all in all, for the most part, I don't think it came out too bad. I know I had to mess around in the kitchen a little bit to figure that out because it just wasn't going to work with cabinetry up top. So I had to go through and make sure that I had space for the cabinets. So yeah, I'm putting down some furniture items and whatnot, but I'm not really decorating. I'm just making sure that everything fits before I decide on this being the actual final layout. So just making sure everything looks okay, you know, double checking the windows and the walls, and it looks like, yeah, I was gonna say it looks like the windows are too low, but I just lowered the roof and it was fine. So here I was getting ready to start to do the exterior, you know, with the walls and the roofing, and I normally use a different roof, but I wanted to try this one. I haven't used it very often, so wanted to make sure that I could use that roof. I really liked it. Picking out the walls was a little difficult at first because I wanted something unique and different, something I don't normally use, but that didn't work out for me today. So I just went with brick, and I believe I went with siding on top. So it was a little different, but not really. It's kind of the same as I do with every other build. But I did like the color combination. I think it matched really well. I think it blended really well. And I knew I was going to put the wall trim in there too, in between, right here, in between the siding and the brick. And I think it looked nice. Now, with the roofs, I don't remember if I went back and forth on the trim, but I do like that beveled trim. I think it works really well. But once I put the columns in, I could tell that the roof wasn't working quite right. So I knew I was going to have to fix the roof by putting in a platform so that I could do the trim on it around the roof, and that would cover the top of the pillars. And I do love those pillars. I don't think initially when I placed those pillars I was going to stick with them. I thought maybe I was going to change the color, change the swatch, but I didn't. So I ended up sticking with those columns and ended up making it work for the rest of the house. I did have to play around with the roof a couple of times in the front, I believe, because I wasn't able to do exactly what I wanted, if I remember correctly. And then, of course, I had to bring that all the way over because then the trim wasn't going to work right. So I made all that work. It worked out just fine in the end. And I did change the trim because I was like, oh no, the small trim isn't going to work around the pillar. And then the roof wasn't working around the pillar corner because it didn't have the overhang. So I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do now? So changed all that other trim first, and then realized, oh shoot, I didn't get the trim all the way over. So I had to do that to make sure that the trim was all the way around up under the roof, which I think it was already. I just didn't realize that it was. I think I moved the roof and I was like, oh yeah, there it is, it's done. So yeah, sometimes you just do things and you don't realize you do them. See, the platform's there, I just didn't see it. But yeah, that edge right there just wasn't going to work at all. So I kind of played with it a little bit more, and I think I ended up with this, with the edge. I do like how it looks. I like the overall feeling of it. I just wish, like I said, those front windows weren't so stark white, but I still think it looks nice. Excuse me. So yeah, of course I always go look at it, what it looks like on the gallery to make sure that it looks good, because I want it to look good. I did play around with the trim a little bit on the roof line because I wanted to check, and then trying to find the same color swatch of a small pillar with those existing pillars was difficult. But then I remembered they're not going to be side by side, so it doesn't really matter. So I just got something that was close enough I thought about doing the brick columns, but I just didn't like it. I really didn't like it. I thought it was too much. So I think I ended up with a small pillar and something that was close enough to the color, and that was fine. And of course that fence is going to stay up there. I'm going to change it, but I did have to do the trim on that as well, so ergo platform, and then I did the trim, and I don't remember what else I did. Oh yeah, I was playing around with the platform trims to see, you know, I wonder if I could do something else, and then realized, no, we're not going to do something else. I just did the regular trim that I had before, and I think I like that much, 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 much better. But the roof was clipping a little bit. I didn't like it, so I was like, I'll just put a tree. I'll cover it up. And honestly, I don't mind if the tree cuts into the roof, because in reality, trees cut into roofs all the time. And as long as it's not going into the house, I didn't really care. So that was that. And trying to think what else I did. Oh yeah, I got the vents up for the roof, or for the attic area, I guess. And then I was like, you know, maybe I can add just a little extra touch. So I can't remember what those things are called, but I got these up under the corners of the roof. I did have to make it smaller by 2. And it wasn't until after I placed these that I realized, oh wait, there's a smaller one that will show up much better. But I had already placed 3 of them, or 4 of them, I can't remember, because those just kind of stick out. They just look weird, and you can barely see them, so what's the point of spending the money on it, you know? And let's see, what was it? Yeah, right there. I was like, oh shoot, there's a smaller one, and it looks so much better. It really, really does, in my opinion anyway. You might not think so, and that's fine. Anyway, the second part of the video is going to have the walkthrough of the whole house, interior and on the exterior. If you like what you see, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. I have more videos coming, and until next time, y'all, have fun.